Let's see. Our next question is from Laura on a post-lunch coma on keto. Hi, Robb and Nicki. I have a question regarding an incessant post-lunch coma regardless of diet. I've experienced a mean bout of fatigue and extreme cold every day following lunch for much of my adult life. I've been on the paleo bandwagon for almost 10 years with marginal improvement in that area. And recently doing keto, I've experienced only a little bit of relief. I still get almost debilitatingly fatigued and cold after eating lunch. If I have a sweet potato or a piece of fruit with lunch, it's definitely a lot worse. But even with my typical lunch of leftover protein and veggies or a version of Mark Sisson's big ass salad, I experience a couple hours of wanting to get in bed after lunch. I follow the ketogains recommendations on electrolyte tracking and consumption of electrolytes. For breakfast, I usually have some variation of 3 to 4 eggs. I'm 33 years old, female, healthy weight, CrossFit 2 to 3 times a week. My recent lab work was excellent, low inflammatory markers, lipids, and blood sugar markers all good. T3 was on the low end of normal, but all other thyroid measures within normal. Is that within normal limits?
Yep.
I am mindful of circadian rhythms and do all I can to optimize sleep. However, it isn't ideal as I have a toddler and a baby. I don't think they can totally be blamed for the issue, though, as I have experienced this for many years. Thanks for your time and for the profound impact you've had on my life and the lives of many others.
So I guess one question, when I was first reading through this, I was like, electrolyte, oh, okay, she's doing the electrolyte. So that was one thing that I was thinking about. The other thing that I'm curious, does Laura experience this with breakfast or dinner? Or is this purely a lunch phenomena? And
well, she's I think she would say it if it was after every meal. She specifically says
lunch.
Yeah,
but you know how people are. Like, I'm sure Laura's super crackerjack, but she's like, oh yeah, it does happen with breakfast and dinner. So a couple of thoughts are like maybe a low stomach acid kind of scenario. Like, this thing is sounding almost more like a gut permeability, histamine response, it's sounding like something other than just blood sugar specifically. But we, like, if folks read Wired to Eat, you should recall that we have the blood sugar piece as a standalone of just like dietary carbohydrate, but we also have the immunogenic potential of food. And the bugger is that if we have, I think it was last week we talked about like digestive enzymes and all that stuff potentially helping with food reactivity, because if the food is super well digested and broken down because of adequate acid load in the stomach and then digestive enzymes, then we have the appropriate things hitting the gut lining instead of intact proteins that can cause a response. So that would be some stuff I would tinker with, like betaine hydrochloride capsules, apple cider vinegar capsules, maybe some sort of a pancreatin enzyme that you throw down with the meal. Also, doing a 15-minute, 10-minute meditation post-meal, I think could be huge. Any way that we can get into that parasympathetic state and kind of activate the vagal nerve so that we're getting blood flow and innervation to the GI tract, and so that we're in that digest and rest mode, could actually be helpful. It's interesting when you're used to stimulants and coffee and all that stuff. That's one type of energy, but being restful and not stressed is interestingly, and it's energetic too, but it's very different than right. Yeah. So I guess the thoughts that I would have: try doing some sort of a meditation practice post lunch if you can fit that in. Even doing 5 minutes of
not even post lunch, but if you got into a routine where you did it in the morning and in the afternoon, the morning sit might help with the post lunch fatigue. Yeah. Because if she's already tired, I could see her starting to sit and just like nodding off. Could be.
But I would definitely noodle on some sort of a meditation practice, getting plugged into that, and then additionally the digestive support. And then beyond that, I got nothing beyond that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let us know, Laura, though. Like if you try the digestive support and it works, then let us know. If it doesn't work, then let us know, and maybe Rob will
do some additional noodling.
In his mind.
And she mentioned the T3 was on the low end of normal. it's this is kind of looking at cholesterol to some degree. The way that thyroid is generally assessed, they should be looking at T3, T4, reverse T3, thyroid uptake, TSH, and you really need the whole picture that you're looking at with that. Plus, we still need to then just ask the question, okay, do we see any clinical signs of problems? And definitely thyroid is really important for basic metabolic rate. The fact that she mentioned cold multiple times, and she actually gets cold after a meal. If anything,
Normally
you should get warm after
a
a meal. So that thyroid piece is something that would be worth nosing around a little bit. If
they didn't do the full thyroid package,
and virtually nobody does. But if you do a little bit of Googling on functional medicine thyroid panel, then you'll see the full suite that you should get on that. Chris Kresser has talked about it. Chris Masterjohn's talked about it. I think that we've posted on that previously, but that's the only other thing that's kind of rattling back there is potential legitimate low thyroid for you, even if you're within normal ranges. Yeah.
Okay.